Hi, good afternoon. We're here with Nick Simpson from Simpson Transport. How you doing, Nick?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Looking forward to the words of wisdom that we're going to hear this afternoon from the interview. So, if you could start us off and
There'll
tell
be
us,
some words. I'm not sure about the wisdom bit,
yeah,
but
open to interpretation. But yeah, if you could give us a little bit of an introduction as to yeah, what it is that you do, how long you've been doing for, and sort of yeah, a bit more about who you are.
well, I've sort of been in logistics for over 40 years, but Simpson Transport was sorted when my wife was hoping I was sort of retiring from the transport industry around about the age of 40. And here I am at 61, about 20 years after I formulated Simpson Transport instead. And Simpson Transport really, I gave birth to it because I'm a bit of an old-fashioned sort of chap that believes when customers are paying, you should give them good service. And logistics has historically had a bit of a bad reputation. And so Simpson Transport started off doing specialist logistics that fitted somewhere between the carriers, which are cheap but do high volumes and you get a lot of damages and things, and the same day chaps that do a great job but charge top end money. So we sort of slot in the middle.
Yeah.
We do charges per unit drop or parcel, whatever people deliver. We don't do many parcels, to be fair. Um, but we do it all on our own fleet of vans direct. So that we historically delivered things such as staircases, door sets. We deliver on behalf of manufacturers, but a lot of those manufacturers, these things are sold on websites of the big retailers. So we do a lot of drop shipping. And of course, these are big, heavy things that would damage easily. So we specialize in home deliveries, site deliveries, anything really that you could call fragile, oversized, or ugly freight.
Yeah.
And pretty much all our customers are up there with the feedback basically on the delivery.
Mhm.
So we know we've got a very high record in one of the biggest DIY retailers, for example, as a delivery company for one of their manufacturers. So that's what we specialize in. We don't aim to be the cheapest.
Mhm.
It's not that we're expensive, but obviously, if you're doing a quality service and you want to pay your staff the proper money in order to get that, you've got to charge a rate that accommodates that. So we tend to work for customers who are bothered about quality rather than price,
Yeah.
and consistency. But obviously, the price has to come into it in that we're not big at sticking up the prices every 5 minutes. And we really want the customer to use us. So we concentrate on their feedback and the quality of our deliveries, which in turn generates more business for us. And the majority of our vehicles now are in customers' livery rather than our own,
Mhm.
you know. And that's basically a nutshell without boring us to death.
That's all right. That's a good summary, and some nice points coming across there about your quality of service in order to stand out. Are there any other USPs that you sort of work on, or is it that kind of quality customer service angle?
It's really quality because that's it's almost like the grain that runs through wood. So we have our own workshop that we can keep. We run only Mercedes vehicles. We keep them tip top. We have our own mechanics, our own building which has the mechanics in. We have a site in Scarborough, a site in Bridlington where I am at the moment. That's where the workshop and the big warehouses and everything.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really right through the business. So we even keep a couple of vans sat in the yard as backup, so that if somebody gets up one morning and if our
Yeah.
mechanic can't change it or do it straight away, then another vehicle is simply shipped out. So we keep all our schedules, we keep all the quality, we do all the phone calls for the customers generally. So we take control of the quality process right the way through. So we tend to, if you viewed us externally, we'd almost look like a department of our
Mhm.
customers' business rather than a standalone sort of
Right.
haulier.
Yeah.
Each
Yeah.
each customer has their own little unique thing, but they still have it in the same way, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
historically, their business will do things in a certain way, so we fit in with that. But our job is to make sure that that's streamlined right to the delivery to their customer, because we live in this virtual world now, and the
Yeah.
feedback on the computer is the most
Hey.
important selling tool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sold, Nick. If I had some ugly goods that I wanted to be transported, I'd be on the phone to you. It sounds
Yeah, yeah. Trouble is, there's a lot of people ringing that phone at the moment, and that it's yeah,
handling
it's
the capacity.
I think it is a market that's now more important, and I think it changed a little through COVID as well because we were very, very busy through COVID,
Sure, but
and we tend to have our customers on a long-term basis. So a lot of our small and large, a lot of our customers have been with us 15 years or more. And I found that like through COVID, when before COVID, everyone was like, "Oh, who's the cheapest?"
yeah,
It suddenly had a shift towards, "I want someone who actually delivers me stuff when they say it." We always say we won't promise something we can't deliver, but
yeah,
we will deliver whatever we promise. So to us, we tend to under promise and over deliver.
makes sense.
We never sort of say, "Oh yeah, we can do that. We'll grab that. We'll grab that." And selectively, famously, a long time ago, I got a contract simply because out of 4 people I contacted, I turned around and said, "I don't think we could cater for that right now because it's too big for us."
Yeah,
And we literally got a phone call back to, "Can you come and see us again?" And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, the other 3 jumped straight at it, and we knew they were no bigger than you. So we want to talk to you because you told us the truth." And we actually took the contract on and we developed it, and it's fine.
yeah.
So I think sometimes just telling the truth is what your reputation is based upon. And that's what I've found.
Yeah, your,
So
your reputation takes a long time to build, but it can go pretty quickly by doing the wrong things. So
absolutely,
you've got to be
absolutely.
careful.
I think there's a rush in business, isn't there, generally, where people think,
Yeah,
"I've got to say yes." And the
jump on
greatest skill
sales, jump
sometimes in
on
business,
sales.
yeah, the greatest skill in business to me is being able to say no. Because if you're telling the truth, you've got the ability to take somebody's business, especially if it's an online business, and ruin it if you
Mhm.
can't keep those promises. And
Yeah.
so I'd sooner, I mean, we don't say no these days because we're so busy and we're getting quite a lot bigger. But we're still choosy about why somebody wants to use us.
Mhm.
And that sounds a bit silly, but if you get a customer in that's only interested in price, they can affect your other customers. They can absorb a lot of resources.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've got to make sure that we're not just the right match for the customer, but the customer's the right match for us. So we don't say yes to everybody because we can think, well, if you don't fit in with our current customers, you can rock the boat a little. You know what I mean? So to us,
Yeah.
it has to be about quality.
Yeah. No, I like this. There's a lot of uh, fundamental principles, shall I say, of operating for the longer term and being successful coming through from what you're saying. So yeah, not business is about a long game, isn't it? Really, not
Yes,
just being
yes,
desperate to
yeah,
try and
yeah,
fulfill an order.
yeah.
So how, if I may ask, this ethos that you've got of the quality, has it always been like that? What's your business journey been like to date to get to this point of clarity in what you do? Has it always been there, or have you
Yeah, I
had
suppose.
ups and downs? And
Yeah, I mean, I've worked across the industry. I've worked as transport manager and driver across many businesses, some that I own, some working as an employee. I've worked for the Tibbet and Britain Group. I've worked on low loaders as transport manager. Um, and I've really always just looked at a journey. So I'm never one for chasing money. I just don't chase money. I never have, even as an employee, because it's a chase that never ends. It doesn't
yeah,
actually lead anywhere. It just goes around in a circle. So I've always chased the experience or learning. I still learn now. I read avidly. There's lots more people on
yeah,
the planet, far more experienced in business than me, and I love reading books about them. Real people that build businesses. Um, and I'm also a part-time NED and business advisor. And again, I choose which businesses because usually I like small ones that maybe having some difficulties, and I can help them and develop them,
yeah,
help them develop that type of thing. So for me, it's always been almost like a little child that wanders around experiencing the things he wants to do. And you tend to be quite good at it.
yeah,
And you do it to the standards you want. And I've never found that I've been chased up by bosses and people and customers even to this day. So I think it has to be about. I know it sounds a bit like a cliche, but it's all about the journey for me in the sense of this is my life. I want to spend it doing what I want to do. And I find logistic, I have to have something high stress. I have to have something that absolutely pumps me. That's why I've got all the grey hair. And so for me, I like the challenge of logistics. I like the challenge of people coming, at my age now at 61, a lot of people coming. If somebody rings us up and says, "Nick, I've got an internet business. The logistics, it's driving me crackers. We can't get this. We can't. People don't care. They're doing this. They're doing it. I smile because I think we can solve that. We
Yeah.
we can come in there and we will, sort of nurture you and look after you and sort of help you build your business, which in turn builds our business
Yeah.
because some of our customers, are doing vast volumes now. They
Hmm.
were only very small businesses when we started with them. And we never made a lot of money out of them in those beginnings because they're ignored, because they're not doing the turnover. And
Yeah.
I found that if you go in and then I enjoy helping them get to a certain place, we get loyalty back because they think, hang on, you came into here when we weren't giving you much work. And so later on, you grow together and it ends up in a true partnership. And I find that that trust sort of stays and develops over the years. So to me, it's a lot of common sense, but clever business too for both parties.
It's that long game that's coming through, and you're doing it for the right well, for you, but for the
Yeah,
right kind
yeah,
of fundamental reasons of taking control of your life and how you want to live it and enjoying the things that you do. And the money
yeah.
kind of comes in as I suppose, a gauge of success as a byproduct of what you're doing.
It's a scorecard and future investment.
Yeah.
If somebody said to me, I want to go into business and make loads of money, I'd say probably go somewhere else
Mhm.
because you can maybe make fast money quick for a short period of time. But I think to build a business, for me, you get far more pleasure from. You know, as you get older and your mortgage is paid off, things money is less important. You have children that like to take it off you and buy their own houses and things, but
Yeah.
um, to me that becomes less important. And I think what happens is you. I would say it's nice to look back and know that you've always done what you set out to do, which was the right thing by other people.
Yeah.
If logistics is a really stressful, really, really difficult job. If you enjoy it, it's a wonderful adventure. But people wouldn't come into it unless they enjoy it. And I think that's the same with any job. That doesn't mean you have to go skipping to work every morning and you love every day and you this, that, and the other. But what it means is that, that when even with all the difficulties at the end of every month or the end of every year, you look back and think, yeah, this I get a real buzz from this,
Yeah.
from making sure that things work. And I think I'm a bit of a control freak, and so the quality comes from that, really.
Yes. Well, you're not alone in that in terms of business owners, leaders, and that sort of control aspect of having a vision of how things you want to be, how you want them to be. It helps in the right way, can help take a
Yeah, yeah.
business to, really good places. So after all that experience, what's the biggest lesson so far to date that you could share, if there's one you can pick?
If I was going to say so, and what I usually say to people when I'm sort of been asked these sort of things is, don't. Sorry, can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah,
Oh, that's good. That's
it's
good.
all right. Yeah, you're still on.
Uh, yeah, yeah. What I would normally say is, don't take anything personal and always be honest. And I think they're the two things that really really matter. The most.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit flimsy, but I think a lot of the times in my early business career, you would take everything personally,
Hmm.
right? And that absorbs far too much energy. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you only have to look on social media and everybody's bothered about what other people think. I really don't think that matters because if your customers know who you are and what you do, they're the people who you should be concentrating on.
Yeah.
That's my view. So it isn't about going around being rude to people. But I learned, you can fill your business with lots of people who absorb your time and probably only use you once or twice here and there.
Yeah. A
Whereas if
lot
you've
less
got
than you need.
customers, yeah, exactly. So if you've got customers that are, really making an effort to work with you, my advice is concentrate on those. Even if initially you're not making a lot of money out of them, because you build a business brick by brick. And if along the way you take everything personal, you're spending too much energy.
Mhm.
And by being honest, people that matter will be the ones that see that. If you're busy trying to impress everybody, it's never going to be achieved. But if you're running an honest business, other honest business people that want to use you will then work with you and they're the ones that matter because they will tend to be the most loyal.
You got the law of attraction right there, I think, in what you're saying. Like attracts like, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
create. If you're creating a positive impression, then positivity will come back, and you'll be rewarded with the loyalty later on. So
Yes, yeah, exactly.
great lesson shared. Would that be the same advice if a person just starting out in business came to you and asked for a piece of advice? Is there anything different?
I think if somebody was starting out, if I look back at myself, it's very difficult to get honest advice because if you go to the bank, they're trying to sell you something. If you go to somebody who's trying to sell you something, so to get good advice, I would always, if I was answering my question now, I would say don't be afraid to go to businesses that are bigger than you and go and talk to them.
Mhm.
Because generally, if somebody runs a business and you ask them a question, just like you're asking me now, they'd be quite willing to talk about themselves. We're human beings. They will tell you about their journey, and you can
Yeah,
learn so much from people who've made the mistakes before you that you're likely to make. And the other thing I'd probably say is don't be frightened of being yourself. It goes back to this don't take it personal, always be honest. When you start out in business, everyone's bigger than you, therefore they're cleverer and they've got everything sorted. It's not the case. Half of the time when I look back when I first started, I was actually right. So
mhm.
instead of trying to copy other people
Yeah,
or do something that's popular, try and be true to yourself. And that comes back to this truth again.
yeah, trust
It
yourself.
will come, but you have to build it. I think a lot of people start business think, oh, it hasn't happened in the first 6 months. Oh, it hasn't happened in the first year. You do have to build it, just like anything else.
Yeah, and there's a quote, isn't there? It's people are often underwhelmed with what they achieve in 1 year, but what you can achieve in 10 is quite something. So
Exactly, exactly, yeah. And you don't realize that when you're doing those things that you think don't matter, you're actually building foundation. It's no different to building a house. When you pour concrete in a great foundation, it doesn't look very much, but the rest of the house is useless without it. All those little learning
nice
curves.
analogy. Yeah, brilliant. So what inspires you to do what you do, Nick? You've mentioned about the logistics industry being quite stressful, but that's what kind of gives you the excitement. Is there anything else around you, like anything you read? You mentioned books, or the people, friends, family, the customers, the team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have really good relationships with the customers, and that goes back to not being a person that says what they want to hear. Being in logistics, sometimes you've got to say to them, I think you need to look at that because the money you're spending is, a little different. So, for example, one of the things that a lot of things automatically happen, but when we take on new contracts, for example, we'll go in and we'll give a quote per unit, per thing that's being delivered, whatever that may be. And we do the whole of mainland UK and we do it all direct. There's no sort of
Yeah,
swapping and changing. And you get people say, oh, well, that's a little bit more than this. But what we find is we go to customers and they are wrapping these things within an inch of their life. There is wrap after tape after wrap after this because they've been getting so many damages. When they end up using us, like our staircases and things, there's a bit of shrink wrap on them just to keep them down, and we carry them properly so they don't get scratched. So they save on packaging. So we actually work out cheaper along the whole
yeah,
stretch of it all because they're not spending a fortune on packing, they're not resending things, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, they're not doing it. And it all sort of blends in to one thing. So part of our thing is it's not so much a slick sales speak, but it is a type of education where we say, look, have you thought about the fact that you shouldn't really have to be packaging these things that much?
yeah. You've
If
only
the
got
people are doing their job and delivering them properly, why would you have to be spending a fortune on rolls of, bubble wrap and things? Um, so I think, yeah, I think it all comes back into one thing, but
yeah,
in different ways.
excellent. So lastly, if we kind of wrap it up from here, and um, you can share any latest news around Simpson Transport you want to, or even if it's a case of plug in the website, and if people are interested to know more about what you do and potentially interested in your services, feel
Yeah,
free.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
our website I think is a bit aged because we don't rely on it as a sales model because we really do have all our customers are word of mouth and
yeah,
we're but you can go to simpsontransport.com
Yeah.
But basically, at the moment, we're just continuing to try and expand. We keep buying new vehicles and we keep employing new drivers, and our current customers keep taking them. And so when we start again and we get some more vehicles, so we're in this sort of expansion phase,
Yeah.
and we're looking at taking on one or two new contracts. But we really want to increase in our specializations. So anything in logistics, couriers, sprinter vans, that sort of thing, because that's what we specialize in really. A lot of home deliveries and tight places and taking care of things. We need to be on some of the smaller vehicles. But we're looking at other specializations in any area really, but we just always want to specialize. So watch this space. There'll be other areas. We're only looking at all, but we're looking at refrigerated deliveries, getting into
Yeah.
food service things, hazardous goods, anything that has a specialization, that we can excel at and appoint the right management team in and that sort of thing.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the best for the future of the business and that your growth keeps going. It's been a real pleasure sharing all that you have because I know it's kind of resonated with me, and sometimes you know these things, but you feel like you've learned a lot again. So thank you very much for that, and
Yeah.
yeah, all the best for the future.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for inviting me. And I hope, there is an odd word of wisdom in there that helps somebody.
We'll get something from it. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much.